Wake up. Just locks in position. So cool. So this is really cool. We're getting to test out the Moza Air here, and we're gonna do a video today on gimbals. Well, the video that we are actually doing is on this beautiful but terrible beetle called the emerald ash borer that is causing huge problems all over the country. But if I had started the video with that, there is a risk I would have lost some of you already. So this video is, as promised, about how we can use gimbals to get more cinematic shots. But instead of just a regular review video, we want to also do a comparison. Same shot, gimbal versus Rob's rock-steady hands, and see if there is a noticeable difference. Alright, let's go. The time when the gimbal like this works really well is when you can get really close to the ground and you move over a distance that is, obviously a lot longer than you can do with a slider, something that you would need a proper dolly for. Laying out a dolly as a dolly track is a pretty tedious process. So using this, it's going to be a lot easier. But let's see how it compares to doing it handheld and with a drone. Also, I wish I had a monitor.
Okay, now I'm gonna do the exact move Jonas did, but with the handheld camera.
How's that?
That was, I think that's going to be the move that I can't do with this, because every time I walk, like, I just can't hold it still, but, maybe I can smooth it out.
Stabilizing in post-production is of course always an option, but not what we're going for in this test. It also doesn't always work well. That side jiggle that comes from holding the camera often makes the image look jelly-like when a stabilizer is applied in post-production. Just to show you a better example of what I mean, here's a shot of Rob filming himself. Adding a stabilizer with the default settings, it looks like this. See how the background goes all wobbly? Self-shooting with the gimbal would look something like this with no extra stabilizer added. And I think is a pretty good difference. Now let's for fun see how well the Mavic Air drone would compete in this comparison.
Careful, careful. Forward, no!
Takeaway from this first test is that the drone does an awesome job stabilizing the video, but run into other problems in tight places like this. We almost crashed it here. The stabilizing effect of the gimbal is awesome and a huge step up from Rob's normally steady hands. The problem with the setup I used was that I couldn't adjust the image settings or focus while filming, and it was hard to see what the image looked like without a screen, so shooting into the sun was tricky. Depending on your camera, settings and additional accessories to the gimbal, this can be sorted out.
So used to walking without a gimbal that it looks like, I'm walking like I'm constipated.
Now let's see how the gimbal works for shorter moves, and for this test I start by clicking the joystick button 3 times
1, 2, 3
to turn on a mode that locks the gimbal and prevents any side movement. And this kind of makes it work more like a slider.
Problem with this might be that I'm pretty good with this.
It may not look like a huge difference, and a lot of the vibrations can be taken out in post-production, but again, that side movement is still there. Shots like this would work really well with a slider, but I gotta say, the gimbal did an amazingly good job correcting for those camera vibrations. Now the big question, is a gimbal worth the investment? Well, here are some of the pros and cons we have. The setup and pre-stabilization takes some work and patience. Also remember that you are buying another device that requires special batteries and also shouldn't be thrown around like any old tripod. Don't get the motors exposed to sand and stuff. But as long as we understand this, it is a really cool piece of equipment that can take your productions to the next level. The stabilized shots are pretty awesome after a bit of practice, definitely adds to the cinematic look
look of your video, and there are also several features and modes built into the gimbal that we will cover in future videos, such as moving time-lapse features and sport mode for rapid turns. What makes this particular model one we could recommend is also the price, about 500 bucks, and it's lightweight, which allows us to use it in many different ways.
Now I want to shoot something pretty high up, and having the camera hanging below the actual handle is pretty difficult. So then I can just switch it around, and now when I turn it on, come on, it will orient itself like this, which is really awesome because now I can reach up higher, and it's surprisingly easy to hold also like this. I just want to also throw out that we're not getting paid by Moza to do this video, but we are getting to test out their equipment, which is really helpful, really awesome. And I must say I am very impressed. It's been a lot of fun. All right, hope you enjoyed that little comparison that we did. You can see how using a gimbal of some sort takes out that little shake that could be a little bit distracting and gives your clips a much more, in my opinion at least, a much more cinematic look. So this has been really fun. I also want to remind everyone why we are actually here. We are currently shooting a video on the emerald ash borer, this invasive bug, a beetle that is causing devastation across the nation, killing off ash trees all over the US. So we want to thank Jiri, who is the entomologist who has made this project possible, and really want to shine light on this problem. We also want to thank all of our patrons for supporting the work that we do. Without your help, we would not be able to do this. So thank you all for letting us continue doing this stuff.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.